Hello, good morning, and welcome to our webinar, AI in Action. We are just 1 minute past 11, and we're going to wait one further minute for any last-minute joiners, and then we'll kick off. So please hold the line, and we'll get started shortly. Thanks. Okay, thank you for joining promptly. We'll get started now. Welcome to this interactive webinar, part of our AI in Action series, and this session is titled Moving from Proof of Concept to Production. I'm Justin Langford, Chief Executive at Coeo, and I'll be your host today. I've invited two guests to join this webinar, Kellie Carlton from Microsoft and Nihal Amin from Coeo, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves in more detail shortly. I'll be posing a number of questions and asking Kellie and Nihal for their thoughts and experience on input on the topic title, and there will be a chance to submit your questions using the Microsoft Teams Q&A feature, and we'll answer a selection of those questions at the end of our discussion. Any that we aren't able to answer, we'll reply by email following the webinar. And I just wanted to start by talking about the hype in AI. AI has been likened to the fourth industrial revolution, with roles, companies, and entire industries under existential threat unless they evolve and transform. And artificial intelligence is a very broad term encompassing mature and well understood technologies such as machine learning, as well as the newer generative AI breed of solutions. These capabilities include document summarization and ChatGPT style interfaces. And back in October 2024, Microsoft invested $14 billion in OpenAI. And this partnership introduces opportunity to build reality augmented generative solutions based on private data from line of business applications and unstructured data sources. Organizations adopting these applications have an exciting opportunity to securely combine the best of public large language models with our own private proprietary data. And increasingly, IT leadership and data professionals are directed to deliver an AI project. Often they embark on their journey to explore capabilities and learn more around AI through a proof of concept. There's a broad spectrum of success rates, and promotion of these initiatives to production deployments remains low, with recent research showing that less than 14% of proof of concepts convert into production deployments. And during our session today, we'll be looking at how and why we can improve these success rates and enable organizations to realize the value that AI promises. I'll make a short introduction about Coeo. We have over 100 data professionals. We specialize in the Microsoft ecosystem based between two locations, Reading, UK, and Hyderabad in India. We've been recognized by Microsoft as a solution partner with specialist accreditation, which is independently audited in three areas. The first is infrastructure and database migrations, which is helping organizations move to cloud. Analytics, which is delivering data lake, data warehouse, and Power BI solutions, and AI and machine learning, supporting clients through ML and generative AI solution delivery. We've been awarded Great Place to Work, reflecting our investment in our people, including 2 specialist awards for Best Places to Work in Tech and Best Places to Work for People Development. And finally, our complete business is ISO 27001 certified, which means we undertake further rigorous audits to our internal process, including sales, new hire induction, and finance and support delivery. Moving on to talking a little bit about our services. Starting at the top layer, we often help clients define their data and AI strategy, frequently meeting businesses who have tons of ambition with their data and AI, but are overwhelmed by choice and simply don't know where to start. Our strategy engagements help organizations understand the value of their data and define a roadmap to realizing that value. Moving to the second layer, data platform, and this really reflects all of our clients having tons of transactional data held in line of business applications. Most businesses are on a journey to transform this application landscape, which includes modernization of the data platform to cloud variants. Data analytics is helping clients build modern cloud analytics solutions, including lakes, lakehouses, and analytics models. Data visualization is building Power BI capabilities through adoption and enablement, and AI using traditional machine learning alongside newer capabilities like Gen AI to securely access data stored within a line of business applications and unstructured data. Underpinning all of this is managed services, where we offer managed databases. Our heritage is in mission-critical workloads where availability, performance, and scalability are key to revenue and reputation for our clients. Managed analytics, where the needs are somewhat different, helping organizations exploit their data, where user expectations and requirements evolve over time. And managed AI, an emerging area where we're developing our services to support clients get the most from custom open AI solutions running on Azure, while managing upgrades to large language models to ensure we test hallucinations and model behavior to ensure no regression in the user experience. All of these are underpinned by Microsoft Cloud technologies. I'll just call out a couple of logos there. The three green stripes is Fabric, Microsoft's leading brand encompassing a software as a service analytics solution. Databricks, the two red bricks, where we reference Azure Databricks, helping clients drive value out of their data. And OpenAI, the white swirling hexagon, which represents OpenAI, where we're referencing the investment and unique availability of the OpenAI services in Azure. The purpose of today's session, we're focusing on the high growth area of artificial intelligence, sharing our collective experience around where we see clients leveraging value from AI and how organizations may improve their success rate. I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves, and I wonder if I could ask Kellie to go first.
Thank you, Justin, and good morning, everyone. A real pleasure to be joining the Coeo team today and be discussing this very crucial topic of AI with you all. So I'm Kellie Carlton. I head up the Microsoft business programs, the customer programs team. So looking forward to spending the next hour with you today.
Thanks, Kellie. And Nihal, do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Justin. And hey, everyone. My name is Nihal, and it's great to see so many people on the call today. And my name is Nihal, and I'm the head of AI at Coeo, where I'm responsible for the AI strategy, talking to our clients, understanding their needs, and really helping them see through the hype of AI. And prior to that, I was at Microsoft as an AI cloud solution architect, where, fun fact, I was working with generative AI technologies before ChatGPT was released. So I have a lot of experience within this topic, and it'll be great to answer a few questions today.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much. So we have 5 or 6 questions, and I'm going to ask for the thoughts of our panelists, Kellie and Nihal, this morning. We'll kick off with, why do so many POCs fail, and how can to make yours succeed? So we've talked about this topic as proof of concepts as the starting point on the journey. I'm going to ask Kellie to respond first and share your thoughts with us, please, Kellie.
Thank you, Justin. Yes, so my team head up what we've delivered over the last 10 months, some close to 100 AI POCs, and we've learned a lot. We've seen some incredible successes in the sectors of healthcare and legal and housing and professional services. And we've seen what works and what doesn't work. And so we sort of come up with this checklist, if you will, of the key principles that all of the successes that we've observed have in common. Now, the first step, and the really crucial step, if you do nothing else on this list, this is the most crucial one, and it's really to create that proof of value, to create that business case for change, the business case for the business to invest. And this means really identifying key business problems, existing suboptimal processes that are causing overhead, or areas that the organization really needs to innovate to differentiate. And I'll talk a little bit more about the 4 questions that you need to ask yourselves as part of our blueprint later on in this session. But the ideation around these questions is likely to produce a number of of use cases. In some examples, we've had customers with over 100 use cases, and it can be really battling to know where to start. And so to help prioritize, we suggest that you map these use cases against your organization KPIs, really understanding the as is, the current mode of operation, and then the to be, how that use case could look with AI transformation. And to do this, we sort of use a value complexity matrix to help prioritize the highest value, but the lowest complexity, the lowest time to value use case for that initial POC. And a recent example being a customer we work with. So their contact centers, as is, was that the average call time for a customer call was 22 minutes. And their Trustpilot score was low as a result. These calls were taking a lot longer. Customers were being asked to repeat themselves. And so we worked with them on a proof of concept to realize that we could take that call duration down by 15 minutes. And by taking that call down by 15 minutes, we then times by the number of calls that they had in every given day, week, month, and year. And they worked out that from just that piece alone, that would generate a 600K saving. But not only that, there was also a correlation between lower call durations and their Trustpilot score. And so their Trustpilot score went up as a result. And they had also done the trend analysis to work out that when their Trustpilot score went up by a percentage, so did their revenue. So all in all, the business case quickly stacked up. The ROI in the first year was over £1 million return. So that's the most important thing, really align with those KPIs to ensure you're focusing on solving the right problems. And there's a Harvard Business Review called Are You Solving the Right Problems, which I would absolutely recommend. But secondly, time. Now, we've seen time and time again that organizations great intention, embark on these POCs for it to then start dwindling when other projects, come and get involved. And so what happens with these AI projects is they're often in that important but not urgent quadrant. And so we see the successful POCs are those where there is a dedicated team, there's time dedicating to the testing. The testing's often been the area where we see organizations start to lag and these projects just take longer than they should. So really invest that time and have that team. The financial investment. Now, if you do step 1 really well, that will come. But many times we've seen IT valiantly working on these POCs. They haven't been so much connected with the business KPIs, and therefore they haven't had the financial investment. And then they've withered on the vine when it's come to taking those POCs, as good as they may be, into production. So really that sort of financial investment is key. And then the next 2 points, and Nihal will cover these a little bit more, but you need the data, and you need to ensure your data estate is in good shape. AI is only as good as the data that it's in the model. So Nihal will talk a little bit more about that. And then finally, on the 5th point, the governance, security, and compliance is really key. And you just need to ensure that role-based access control is in place, so that, for example, employees can't go off and start asking AI questions like, what does my CEO earn? And the results come back to them. So they're the 5 points. And then just in terms of the stakeholders, we've seen many cases where, again, IT really wants to be seen as thought leaders and really wants to be that profit center driving this agenda, but it's so important that IT bring the business and that this becomes a hugely collaborative business initiative with C-level executive engagement. And again, that, you know, the investment will come from there. But not only that, but also the business stakeholders. And by business stakeholders, we really mean, you know, go out, you know, to find those problem statements. Again, chances are they're not going to be found in just IT. This is a case of going out to some of your top salespeople, going to facilities managers, going to all areas of the organization and the business to really try and understand some of those key problems, some of those key areas needing innovation. So I'll now hand over to Nihal, who will talk a little bit more about those data aspects.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Now, it's no question that everybody's trying to do AI, right? Everyone is trying to get involved with the technology, understand what it's capable of, and create AI solutions. But as Justin and Kelly have mentioned, there's been a lot of hype around the technology and not so much value add straight away. And there's a couple of fundamental steps that have kind of highlighted the reasoning behind not realizing that value, seeing those proof of concepts not give you that return that you were expecting. And I think one of the most fundamental and important steps that organizations skip is their AI strategy. They go into their engagement saying, I want to do AI. They get investment from the board. The board says, let's do AI. We need AI in their organization. But then they don't think about how should they approach AI within their organization. Are they identifying the pain points within their organization? Is there a need for AI within their organization? Because there's a level of maturity that you need that actually follows up on with the data foundations. Is your data in the right location? Do you have the right quality of data? Do you have data that you can leverage for AI? So there's a lot of questions that need to be asked before you start developing, creating proof of concepts, creating pilots. And that's one of the essential things that I see a lot of organizations skip. I get a lot of clients coming to me and telling me, I want to do AI. I've used ChatGPT. I've summarized the document and it worked really well. And I was like, okay, but what's your use case? What is your idea behind that? What value is that bringing the organization? And they said, well, I've not really explored that. I've just used ChatGPT and it works really well. And that's the fundamental step that people are missing. It's having that AI strategy, having those foundations before we dive deeper into the development, the ideation, and the exploration of use cases and concepts. And building on the AI strategy and data foundations, once you've got that, proof of concepts still have fundamental aspects that they are missing. And one thing that Kelly mentioned that's I think is really, really important is the lack of return of investment. I always tell my clients, let's not do AI for the sake of doing AI. It's a buzzword, there's hype around it, and everyone wants a piece of the cake. But only do AI if we're going to find value add, right? Let's measure the value. Let's understand, right, if we implement AI within our finance organization and automate financial risk assessments, this will save our team from 4 weeks to 1 week. And at the end of the day, time is money. The way AI needs to be implemented is to be understood. What is it doing for us? Are we driving operational efficiency? Do we have time efficiency savings? Are we finding ways to generate revenue opportunities? All those aspects need to be considered to then move to a proof of concept. And that's where the ideation of use cases and the prioritization is very, very important. That is a critical step when going into your proof of concept and building out these kind of technologies and solutions. And another thing that we see that's a pretty big hindrance when it comes to a proof of concept and organizations building a proof of concept is the fact that it's not scalable. They directly go into building a proof of concept and then they do it with a subset of data. Let's say they have a repository of 100 documents. They test it out and they say, yep, we're getting great answers. But now for production, we need to roll it out to 10,000 users with 1 million different data points. You need to make sure that the technology can scale towards that. You need to make sure that you've got enough, these models can handle enough tokens. These models can create the right amount of vectors and actually handle those conversations at a large scale. So making sure that your proof of concept has scalable measures in place is very, very important. And another thing that I think a lot of people have now started seeing ever so with agents and the constant changing of the technology is this technology is the fastest growing technology to date. So if you miss out on a few concepts or if you miss a few aspects, uh, it's something that you need to be continuously learning, which is why you need to have the right expertise in-house with the right tools, with the right understanding of the services to help create those proof of concepts, because the technology is ever changing. And you don't want to be in a position where you create something fantastic and then 2 months down the line, something else comes out by one of a vendor like Microsoft or someone with agentic frameworks that automates that aspect. Right? You want to make sure that you are up to date with the technology and create your solution to be scalable. And that's where the integration becomes really important. How can we integrate our proof of concept, make it a pilot, and integrate it with the wider business? And finally, another point that I'm seeing a lot of organizations struggle with, they have an AI solution, they've got it in production, it's working brilliantly. And then as time goes on, they realize, wait, a lot of our users want enhancements, or a lot of our users want to improve on the solution. How can we manage our production grade solution? And that's where I think implementing and adopting something like large language model operations is really, really important. So it's all about following an iterative approach with AI, going from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and then managing that solution cohesively and making sure that it's generating that value add that your business was looking for. And
Great.
I think that pretty much covers the questions. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you both very much for your insight. We're going to move on to the second question. What makes a great AI prototype? And I'll direct that question to Kellie, please. Thanks. You're on mute, Kellie.
Jeez. So at Microsoft, we find ourselves in a really unique position in that we are what we call customer zero of our own technology. So we feel this means we can bring some pragmatism to the conversation around AI transformation. And so we've developed this 4-pillar framework that I mentioned earlier, this sort of blueprint for success, if you will, that really serves in ensuring AI transformation drives that real intangible value and outcomes that we've talked about. And these 4 categories we've seen in those hundreds of POCs my team have run, in our own example at Microsoft, and I'll share with you a couple of sound bites from that and our successes. And all of the global successes we've seen, they all have these 4 components, and they hold true. So these 4 categories are really essential for business and technology leaders to ask themselves when their teams come and present these various different use cases. So question number 1 is, will this AI scenario truly enrich the experience of our employees? Will it help them be more productive? Will it help them enjoy their work more? Will it help us as a business or organization attract better talent by providing a real world-class environment for learning and growth? And question number 2, can we reinvent customer engagement? Can we use AI capabilities to connect more deeply with our customers, creating scalable, personalized relationships that build trust and enhance our brand? Can we help customers understand how our products can benefit them? Can we have just a better relationship with our customer and serve our customers in a more optimal way? Question 3, how can we reshape our business processes altogether? Because let's face it, a business processes are essentially just artifacts of human workflow, moving physical objects or intellectual property from point A to point B. By developing AI-first business processes, we can drive efficiencies and apply that human expertise to make them better, make them differentiated, which is important, and then ultimately align with the company's values. And then finally, question number 4, can this AI scenario help us bend the curve on innovation? Can we bring new products to market quicker? Can we achieve real pragmatic outcomes from our research that lead to better product development and faster time to market? Now, our own leadership team were asked these very questions when they had to make the decision to invest in our very own AI transformation at Microsoft. And you may be thinking, well, surely that wasn't much of a business critical decision, Microsoft. It was just a case of flicking, the touch of a button. Actually, no, that's not the case, because when you consider the AI infrastructure, it costs as much for us as it does you. And when our leadership team made the decision to invest in lighting up AI capabilities for all of our staff, it meant allocating GPUs for our people, which then meant we couldn't allocate those GPUs to our customers or sell them in the market. So it was a real critical business decision that had to be made. And so as a result, and as I was mentioning earlier, we had to measure the ROI daily. We had to look at that telemetry weekly to see, and we're still doing this today. We have stats, daily active usage, weekly active usage as employees, and our leadership team are looking at who's using it and who's not. And the outcomes so far have been really staggering. So out of our top users of AI, we've seen, and this is in our sales community, we've seen a 10% increase in pipeline, a 23% faster close rates, and 9% more revenue than that individual's baseline. Now, you might think, gosh, 9%, that doesn't exactly sound a lot as an ROI, but you times that by 65,000 people and a $200 billion baseline, and it's massive. And then we've got our contact center example, which I really love. So we see 75 million incidents a year coming to our contact center. These are now triaged by an agent. Critical problems are more quickly routed to a senior engineer who then works with Copilot or AI to document real-time, doing real-time problem solving. And then the Copilot agent sends that root cause analysis back to the customer. It updates the knowledge base so that next time we face that problem, it can be fixed faster. Our goal for our contact center cost saving was $500,000. We've now saved, in the first year of implementing this, we're up to saving $750 million. And then Copilot Studio, we've used that to examine all of our business processes. You'll be pleased to know every licensing policy, I know licensing can be a little bit of a black art, every licensing policy, every internal element that's deemed overhead, we are using AI to eliminate it out of the business so people can spend more time delivering value to, hopefully, you, our customers. And then finally, for us as Microsoft, when it comes to bending the curve on innovation, we use GitHub Copilot to generate more than a third of all the code that goes into our new products. And this has resulted in us delivering to market more products in this last year than we ever have in the history of Microsoft as a company. So hopefully you'll agree, some impressive outcomes there.
Amazing, thanks, Kelly. And a proof point and evidence for, if Microsoft can do it, then every other organization should be able to adopt it and deliver similar value. I'll move on to the next question. What are the best practices in moving from pilot to production? We've got a few questions to go, so I'm going to ask Nihal to be a bit concise with this answer, if that's okay, so we can make sure that we get through all the questions. So Nihal, your thoughts on this one?
Absolutely. Thank you, Justin. And I've listed a few points that I think are essential to do when we're talking about moving a pilot into production, but I'm going to talk about the most important ones because like Kelly put a checklist on the first slide, this is a little bit of a checklist that you need to follow when you want to take your pilot to production. What are those best practices? What do they look like? And an essential factor that I think a lot of organizations don't do is actually set expectations, align on expectations on this is what my pilot solution is doing, and in production it's going to look like this. So identify what your pilot is going to look like. Your pilot can be with 10, 100, 1,000 users, your production grade solution to the entire organization. Understand what those expectations are, and make sure you do the relevant testing. When moving a pilot to production, make sure you vigorously test that pilot for factors like making sure you are following responsible AI principles, making sure it can handle the workload that you're going to require when in production. So actually have those clear metrics on what do you want your solution to be like when it's in production, and what does successful look like. If it can handle X, Y, and Z, if it can handle 10,000 employees with this repository and this number of data sources, that is what success looks like. And this will save our team 30% efficiency gains. And make that assessment. That assessment is really important. So align on expectations. And as part of aligning on these expectations, another factor that I think is really important is the education aspect of things. If you're going to align the expectations throughout the business, also educate the wider business on, one, how do you use that? How do you use that pilot? How do you use that solution? What is that solution going to look like in production? Identifying and educating your entire organization is going to help you with a company-wide AI strategy, because there's a mix of expertise and skills when it comes to AI throughout all organizations, especially with a technology that's moving so fast-paced. We've got organizations that are talking about agents, they're talking about using stuff like semantic kernel, they're asking which are the best agentic frameworks to use, but we've also got organizations that are still asking, do we need a machine learning solution? What is generative AI? How does it work? We'll still see the mix of both parties when it comes to this technology. So that education and knowledge transfer, upskilling your users, your owners, who are the champions of AI within the organization, and how to best use it. Another essential skill, prompt engineering. I remember 2 years ago where prompt engineering, it used to be a bit of a gimmick. It didn't have much of an impact, but now we look at it today and we look at how important it is. We ask the right instructions for the right outputs. And the final 2 points that I want to touch on is still building on what I spoke about before, is aligning AI across the business. Have you got access to the right data sources? Has it got the right quality of data? Always check your data quality and make sure you test that. Again, iteratively testing, unit testing is really important when moving to production, right? And are we provisioning the right access? Kelly covered it a little bit in her first slide. And does the right people have access to the solution? And are they accessing the right data points? And finally, building on top of that is responsible AI. I can't stress how important responsible AI is when it comes to implementing a solution in production. That covers how can we mitigate any sort of hallucinations that a model face? How can we make sure that the right people have access to the right parts or right data and have access to the right capabilities within the solution itself? So you may have admin users that have a bit more granularity in what they can do compared to a standard user. Making sure you're responsible in the solution. Does your solution need a human in the loop? Are you completely automating a business process? And what checks do you have in place to make sure you're not completely relying on AI and that you're minimizing the risk of getting a wrong answer? So making sure you implement responsible AI, following a responsible AI framework, making sure you've got content filters is also essential when taking that pilot to a production grade solution. Back to you, Justin.
Great. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next question, which is around how Microsoft can help you on your AI journey. And I'll ask Kelly for her thoughts initially, please.
Thanks, Justin. Yes, so as part of my team's function, as I mentioned, with customer programs, so there's 3 programs here I specifically wanted to call out to help organizations at the start, or actually one of the co-pilot ones is if you're not quite at the start of your journey, you're already dipping your toe in and you do have some co-pilot licenses. But these 3 programs are essentially designed to be funded programs. So we offer these to all organizations at no cost to you. This is our investment in our customers' journey into the wonderful world of AI. So first of all, we have what we call the AI Accelerator and Proof of Concept. And actually, Nihal will cover this a little bit in more detail. This is delivered by our partners, and Coeo is one of the wonderful partners who can deliver this. And this really sees that the ideation, all the pieces on the checklist that I mentioned at the start, together with a partner like Coeo, we will work with you, we'll help you identify that business case for change, some of those key use cases based on business KPIs, and some of those gnarly processes that need re-engineering or problem statements, or areas you're looking to innovate and differentiate. And then we will put that through the matrix to help prioritize which one we'll press forward with on the POC. And then partner like Coeo would align and help deliver that POC and work with you in that way. So that's our AI accelerator. And that's if we're really looking to leverage AI to differentiate. If you're looking more for a co-pilot and out-of-the-box solution, we have 2 masterclasses there, a readiness masterclass and an adoption masterclass. Readiness is if you've not tried Copilot at all yet, and you just need to understand some of those aspects Nihal was just saying, like, is your security posture, is that in a good shape? Is your data in a good shape? It will give you a readiness score for Copilot, essentially. And then the adoption masterclass is for those organizations who may have already started using Copilot, but are looking for opportunities to expand the usage and other use cases. So if you're interested in any of these offerings, please do connect with the Coeo team. Justin will have his details at the end of the call, and then he will work with us to help triage these engagements for you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. There are some really exciting programs where Microsoft are investing in customers and helping customers move through their AI journey. I'm going to ask Nihal to talk a little bit about our offering in the OpenAI space. Do you mind talking about the incubator service, Nihal?
Of course. Thank you so much, Justin and Kelly. And this brings us quite well onto our AI incubator offering, which is a Microsoft-funded offering, and it allows us to take organizations and actually ideate on the most impactful use cases and actually prove that concept, giving you something within your environment where you can see the real value of generative AI. So part of the process of what our incubator offers is we walk through an ideation workshop where we actually identify the most impactful use cases. We understand, we look at different areas of your business. We understand where AI can have the most impact. What kind of impact will it have? What is an AI problem? What is not an AI problem? We also do an assessment of what should data look like in this position? What kind of data are we using? What is the quality of data? And what are the foundations that you have in place that we can leverage these AI use cases? And what is the kind of outcome that will be of these AI use cases? And we look at building a bit of a Boston Matrix style approach where we focus on AI projects that bring the most benefit, but we also map it out on a effort versus value basis. So you're going to have some of your long-term strategic wins in the more top right-hand side, and then you're also going to have your quick wins and your low-hanging fruit, where that may very well be the first kind of use cases you proceed, or you could look at the more long-term strategic use cases. So we build that matrix and we look at the quick wins, the long-term strategic solutions, and we align with the business to ensure we're driving that value and build a strategic roadmap for AI. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of AI is to drive business value, find out what pain points, what problem is AI solving, where can we drive operational efficiency, where are the revenue opportunities. So that is the ideation and prioritization aspect of the AI incubator. Can we go to the next slide, please, Justin?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. So our approach is actually taking that use case that we prioritized in the first part with those ideation prioritization workshops, prioritize a use case that's going to be the most valuable for the business, and one where we can prove out the value and see what kind of impact it's going to have. So we will work with you to define your use case requirements, working alongside Microsoft in workshops that cover AI strategy, understanding the needs of the solution, understanding who the users are going to be, the solution. How can we make sure we're optimizing costs, and also following responsible AI principles. We make sure we cover all the steps that we, both Kelly and I covered. This is what make POCs fail. We make sure that we cover all those steps and mitigate any chance of that. So we make sure we follow all those different principles, making sure our data is ready, making sure we're following those responsible AI principles, and we implement a scalable AI solution. We implement a scalable proof of concept using the frameworks, best practices, whether that's agentic solutions, whether that's having a RAG architecture, RAG framework on a particular data source, whether that's a combination of data sources and multi-agent systems. And this engagement isn't just a oh, you give us a use case, we go off, we build it, and we come back. This is a very hand-in-hand approach where we'll sit with you, we'll work with you, we will work together, make sure we're educating you, we're understanding your ideas, we're understanding your organization, and you're also understanding the technology and how we can collaborate together. So it follows a very collaborative approach. And in the final aspect, once we've got the POC developed, we make sure we build a pilot readiness plan. So we assess the proof of concept, we do a bit of testing, we make sure it follows exactly what we spoke about in the ideation and the prioritization, where we built those use case requirements, the architecture diagrams, and we assess how can we make sure this is ready to go to a pilot and production, and we build that plan, looking at user adoption, looking at education, looking at upskilling of the wider organization. So this is a proven framework to get organizations from thinking of the right ideas, thinking of the right use cases, to actually seeing out that value with a proof of concept, with structured in place to say, this is how we take it to production. So this is our proven framework that we work alongside with Microsoft, alongside with you, with Microsoft funding available as well.
Amazing. Sounds great. Thanks, Nihal. I'll move on to the next question swiftly. So there's a lot of noise and information available around Microsoft Copilot, and that's making huge impact to modern workplace productivity and information worker productivity. And we've talked a lot about Azure OpenAI. Can you talk a bit about what the differences are between Copilot and Azure OpenAI, and how organizations should think about where and when to use each of those solutions?
Of course. Thank you, Justin. And given time, I will be a bit more speedy with this one.
Yeah, please.
But I actually want to use this slide that I created to talk about some of the most powerful offerings for M365 and AI Foundry. And I believe they're both powerful generative AI solutions. But I think the slide covers quite well the differences and capabilities, because there is a lot of comparison between the two, and rightfully so. But I wanted to highlight the key differences to understand which would be the most suitable for your organization. So both are generative AI solutions, but your M365, your Microsoft 365 Copilot, is an out-of-the-box solution that works with your existing estate for your employees. So it's something that you can easily set up, easily run, and easily deploy for everyone to use and leverage on Office 365 data like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and those Teams and Outlook, and those kind of data sources. Azure AI Foundry, on the other hand, is building a solution with custom data sources. You can get data source from a SQL database, from a blob storage, from Fabric, and building a user interface that's appropriate to your organization, either deploying it internally for your employees or externally for your customers. And the licensing between them is M365 is per user. Azure AI Foundry is built per Azure services. And the models, and I think this is quite an interesting factor, is the models that are provisioned for Microsoft 365 Copilot is provisioned by Microsoft. But with the Azure AI Foundry, you've got access to a 2,000 plus model catalog. And why that's so powerful is you can choose certain models for certain tasks. So if there is a quite intensive task, you could choose to use a reasoning model. But if you wanted the quickest response, for example, you could use a smaller model, or you could use like the GPT-4 Omni Mini model to give you the quickest and fastest responses. And with responsible AI, Microsoft 365 has that built in, so it mitigates any chance of harmful responses and gets rid of anything that shouldn't be sent to this technology. With the AI Foundry, you've got the AI content safety service implemented, which gives you complete control. And a question I get asked quite commonly is, why do we need complete control if it's already built in? And I've worked with a healthcare firm before, and their use case was they want to query surgery notes. And within those surgery notes, you had examples of an incision was made in this particular location, and 20 milliliters of blood dripped, and a couple of other things happened. And that, if you sent to ChatGPT, would immediately say, no, we cannot talk about that. You are going against our harmful policy, right? So with complete control of the AI content safety, this private healthcare organization was now able to actually do that use case because it controlled what goes in, what goes out. And you can even, if there were any words that you say you wanted to ban within your organization from a external facing perspective or internal facing perspective, that is also possible. So you get complete control over what you allow to be answered and what you don't allow to be answered, whether it's harmful, rude, or follows those bias or not. And from a customization perspective, M365, it's something that you plug in and deploy. So it's as you would expect. It's you buy what you get. With the AI Foundry, you've got customization, you've got control, you've got choice over how you want it structured, what modules you're using, what do you want the UI to look like. So your customization value is quite significant because you get a choice of how you want to tailor the solution. And where this becomes really powerful is when you want to build a specific tailored solution for a specific department. And when it comes to a value add perspective, both solutions are really valuable, right? They both have their purposes. Where I would consider Microsoft 365 Copilot being more powerful is if you want to query anything on your PowerPoint, on your Word, anything in your OneDrive, and you want to use it with Teams to record emails and meetings, Microsoft 365 is a solution for you. It is everyone's adopting Copilot, and it has an impact within that space of working with those data sources. On the other hand, if you want an AI solution on a particular data source, on your blob storage, on your SQL database, on Fabric, and you want it to either automate a business process, you want to have a multi-agentic solution, you want to combine different departments with one AI solution, you can do that with the AI Foundry. So you've got customization with the AI Foundry service, which also brings you that kind of value. So you buy when you want standard functionality, which is a Copilot, and when you want to differentiate, when you want to do something that no other organization or no other customer has, and you want to lead in the competitive edge, that's where your AI Foundry, that's where you use your AI Foundry, and you leverage that with the heart of your company data. So that's a bit of the examples between the two solutions. I hope I went through that a little bit quicker.
Great, thank you. That's been really useful to help us think about how and where we deploy Copilot versus Azure OpenAI. We've got one final question, and then we've got some interesting questions coming from the webinar participants. So I'm just going to ask Kelly this question, and then we'll move to the open questions. But Kelly, we've heard a lot about M365 Copilot and Azure OpenAI. What are your views on the direction of travel for Microsoft overall?
Yeah, so the direction of travel for AI at Microsoft is really exciting and transformative, as you can imagine. In the last 6 months, we've seen such an explosion in the use of agentic AI, and we predict that 2025 will be such a pivotal year, with 3/4 of business leaders already expected to integrate AI across their operations and projecting to see a 3.7x ROI. I certainly know my team are inundated with requests for one of those 3 offerings that I showed you earlier. Our CEO, Satya Nadella, he emphasizes the creation of an agentic world where he sees AI agents. And if you're not familiar with agents, that's essentially a program that uses AI to automate and execute on business processes, working alongside or on behalf of a person or team or an organization. But he sees that acting across various domains, including work, life, teams, business processes, organizations. We'll all have AI agents orchestrating across multiple apps, databases, and back-end systems. And we predict this transformation will see less emphasis on traditional SaaS applications, as these AI agents will take on more of a central role as the AI tier, replacing that traditional business logic. And so this approach will not only enhance productivity, but will also drive innovation in how businesses function and interact with AI technology. The Azure AI Agent Service will really simplify the development of these agents, supporting multiple models and extensive data integration. And just a little vision that I have, I don't know about you all on this call, but one of my biggest frustrations over the years working in corporate life as an information worker has been multiple systems, multiple apps, and having to remember the links. And often my team are on Teams chat saying, what's the link to our volunteering app and site? What's the link for that learning day booking app? And we're referring to this now as what we're calling digital drudgery. But with Copilot, that's already become so much easier, because we say to Copilot, what's the link for that volunteering app? But actually, with this world and how we see the vision is that you'll just have this agent, and regardless of the back end system, you'll just be able to ask your agent to say, book me some volunteering time. I spent a day volunteering yesterday. Can you just book that for me? And the agent will go off and do it with a simple voice command. And we're seeing so much more progression around the natural language processing. And I'm hoping you're all experiencing that with Copilot chat on your mobile phones potentially today. But Nihal just mentioned as well the Copilot stack, and just to add to that, this includes our Copilot devices, Copilot and the AI stack. It's really central to our vision here. And how we see it is Copilot serves as that sort of interface for AI, enabling every employee to have that personal assistant with them at home and at work. And then combining the power of those large language models with Microsoft 365 apps and data, really transforming that productivity while maintaining, crucially, enterprise commitments to data security and privacy. Now, I'm sure you're hearing it. There's a lot of hype in the market, and there's some arguments, and our competitors talk about agents versus co-pilots. Now, to us, there's no versus. It's an and, because our vision is that what you want to have in your agent, you want agents put to work across your business processes, couple them with your human ambition, empowered by co-pilots to create this unique differentiation. So in summary, Microsoft's direction for AI is focused on building this rich tapestry of AI agents that seamlessly integrate into our daily lives and work environments. And these agents, powered by natural language processing and AI orchestration, really set to revolutionize how we interact with technology. Even my 80-year-old mother now is finding her life is easier when she's interacting with her AI and our co-pilot, which she's referring to as John. So there you go. So here's to Microsoft and AI, and together us all helping every organization on the planet and every person to achieve more.
Amazing. Thank you both very much. We've been getting a good flow of questions from the audience in through that session. So I'm going to try and just pick a couple of questions that I think have got broad appeal and ask them. The first one I'll answer myself, but I'll read it out from Joanna 33 minutes ago. So this was obviously one that she was prompted pretty early in our discussion. Poor data quality is a massive issue and blocker to progress with AI tools. Can you share any insights on using AI to improve data quality? I imagine focusing on minimizing the need for human input when creating records, data validation steps, and more. So Joanna, yes, and I would really encourage you to take a look at Copilot for Microsoft Fabric, and that has been designed with data engineers in mind, where we can issue English language instructions to ingest data from different data sources, for example, customer. So we could take customer entity from two different systems, combine and merge those together, and we can express that in an English language command to the business rules, but under which we will merge those records to create a single customer entity. And the Copilot for Microsoft Fabric will create the Python script to do the extract, transform, and load script in Python and build that. And then we could iteratively add error handling and logic on top of that. Hopefully you find that useful, and that's in preview currently, so you'll need to sign up for that, but we'll give you at least an indication there. I've got a question from Serge, which I'll read to ask Kellie's opinion on. Serge asks, should companies start small and democratize the use of AI in an individual team workflow and scale out? Thinking of Copilot Studio low-code approach to deploying agents grounded on individual documents. So do you think we should start in a narrow, discrete way, or should we start more horizontally, I guess, is Serge's question, Kellie.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Serge. So yes, what we found in these 100 odd that we've worked on, we find success comes when you think big. So think big vision and really, like say, aligning with those company KPIs. But yes, start small, and which is why that prioritization, that matrix I was referring to, is really key. And you want to find out where that low-hanging fruit is, where you can have the highest value with the lowest complexity and the lowest effort to, like you say, Serge, democratize that use of AI. But what we also find, but then when you're thinking big, is we've talked a lot about use cases, but the organizations that really drive that wide scale adoption and really get AI creating great outcomes and success for them is when they sort of use case stack. So think about, and that's where the thinking about the process comes in. So that example I mentioned about the contact center, that little piece about reducing the call times was just one element of that process. But what we were able to do then, and what that organization was able to do, is take that end-to-end process for customer contacting contact center, then the contact center responding, then they had to ping off a note to a supplier, and that was all one big process. And actually, because we sort of use case stacks, so they started the POC with the purpose of reducing the call time, but actually the bigger piece was then optimizing that whole process. So I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you very much. And David's asked a couple of questions around Copilot agents and OpenAI, but I'll ask Nihal to comment on this question specifically, and I'll try and just paraphrase this a little. So to help me differentiate between agents and Copilot, would you use agents to be tier 0 support for an IT service desk to end users and then refer to a human for complex issues? So we want a world where we provide 24/7 IT support, but automate as many simple service requests as possible and reserve colleagues' time for complex IT issues. And finally, do you think that would be a reasonable proof of concept? Do you mind giving your thoughts on that,
Yeah,
Nihal?
brilliant.
2 minutes.
Thank you, David, for the question.
1 minute.
And I think that's I think that's an excellent question. And to answer your question quite simply, I think yes, it's the use case that you presented. The whole impact of agents is to leverage different generative AI kind of processes to come to a conclusion and give you a final answer. So an agent is not just your standard generative AI solution where you get input output. Leveraging the capabilities of agents is having a multitude of different technologies, generative AI working together to finally give you an output. So for example, if you set up agents for an IT service desk, if you get a particular request if it's a simple request, you could have a supervisor agent that looks at the request and passes it on to the agent with a specific skill set to solve that problem. And then an agent goes, either provides the relevant information, sends an email back. So you can have a multi-agent kind of flow that takes your process all the way from getting the request from a human, taking that, and then finally giving an output by following a flow. And finally, if there is a more complex issue, that's where you refer it to a human. And that's the right way to go about agentic solutions, because you don't want to rely everything on AI. Where you can automate with a high degree of certainty and accuracy, that's where you use the capabilities of agents. And I can quite confidently say that agents would solve that problem for you, but using humans for the more complex issues. Now, would this be a reasonable proof of concept? I think it's a very valid proof of concept. And making that assessment, what is this going to help our businesses, what is it going to save, and the time savings that's can be followed with a solution like this could be quite significant. So I do think that's a very reasonable proof of concept, and a proof of concept you can approach in many different ways to get the right output.
Amazing. Thank you, Nihal. We've got several further questions, but we're just about out of time. So I will commit to getting back to anybody that has asked a question that we haven't answered by email. So hopefully we've got your email details from the registration and we'll get back to you with thoughts and responses. My contact details are on the final slide. If there's anything further that we can assist you with, please don't hesitate to drop me a line. It just leaves me to thank Kellie and Nihal very much for their support and thoughts through this session, both with the prepared questions and with the questions submitted by the audience. I hope you found this useful, and thanks very much, Kellie and Nihal.
Thank you very much for everyone's time. Hope that was useful.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the session, and please reach out if there's anything. Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day.